Hey guys, Brad from Bradley Performance Products. Thanks for joining us again. It's summertime in Arkansas. It's like 100 degrees out here. Had to wait till dusk to film a video. The humidity's high. It's awful. But in Arkansas, the weather changes every 15 minutes. So it's probably going to snow tomorrow. What am I doing? Look at all of these 250 and down single cylinder air cooled motorcycles. These are bikes that we have in the shop for the purpose of test fitting parts and for testing the parts to make sure they function properly and for designing new parts and things like that. So this would be a good opportunity for me to give you my opinion, and it is just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Plenty of you will disagree, but it's just my opinion of how you would grade each one of these bikes. Who are they good for? Which one's better at something than another? You know, just kind of give a review, kind of a little comparison, a little competition of all these little bikes. So, VanVan XR150L. A T-Dub, of course, that you all know of. This is a new, like a hunter slash, I don't know, like a woods edition. XT250, KLX 230S, a TTR 230, a CRF 250F, and then, of course, here's my T-Dub. So, if I was, let me see how to explain this to you. There's several things that jump out here. Although all these bikes have a lot of similarities, there's several things that jump out. Let me just hit the highlights. These two bikes down here, obviously they're not street legal. But man, they are just plain old dirt bikes. They don't have anything else going for them. Even if you put a street legal kit on them, they're geared really low. They won't run highway speed without changing the gearing. The seats are narrow and hard and flat, and the handlebar position is low and flat, and you know, they vibrate. They're just plain old dirt bikes, and that's it. Both of these, the TTR and the CRF. If that's what you're looking for, that's what these do. They're just smaller cheaper copies of like a big motocross bike, like a CRF 450. You know, they just feel like they have similar characteristics. It's just a dirt bike. It's not comfy, but hey, if that's what you want, it's just a dirt bike to play on, that's what these are. XT250, KLX 230. I would put these bikes in the same class because they're so similar. They're both, you know, you got a 230 and a 250. They're both EFI. They both have about the same amount of suspension travel. They both have the same size wheels. They're both very similar on seat height. They're both very similar on ergonomics and, you know, digital dashes and, you know, headlights and things that are accessories that are available. Very similar. These are very similar bikes. And I really like riding both of them. I really like riding an XT. Yes, this is not the, this is an XT 225 front fender, so that probably threw you off. I'm really starting to like this KLX 230, but I would like to preface that by saying that I'm not really a fan of either one of these bikes in stock form. Both of these bikes have our springs in the front, emulators in the front forks, our rear shocks, our skid plates and pegs and levers and brake levers and exhaust and risers and handlebars and just all the goodies. And it's things that make the bike more comfortable, maybe increase performance in some way or another, an increase in traction, more aggressive tires, like I said, suspension improvements, maybe a few motor mods. So it's all much needed modifications, and so now I really like it. I didn't like it when it was stock. I didn't like this one when it was stock. Now I really enjoy both of them, but I would say that they're very similar. So if you're looking for a commuter, this is what you ought to be looking at. if you're going to be riding on the road a whole lot. So both of these, or say all three of these bikes, since we're on that subject of commuter, XR150, T-Dub, and VanVan, if you're going to commute on one of these things on the road, just my opinion, don't do it. They're not fast enough. You'll get run over. They don't handle highway speeds very well. They're very buzzy. You know, they're wound tight just to get to the speed limit. You know, they don't handle that speed very well. They don't brake that, you know, from that speed very well.
So I have a question. Is it a guarantee that you'll get run over if you ride on the beach? Because you said you'll get run over
Well,
as if you had experience.
It's not if, it's when. If you need a commuter, buy one of those other bikes. These are not commuters, but they do everything else very well. Of these three, this VanVan is the weakest and the slowest and the puniest. It makes the least amount of horsepower on the dyno by quite a bit. However, it is the most comfortable by far. If what you're looking for is comfort, you cannot beat the VanVan. It's the most comfortable thing. It may be ugly as homemade soap, but it is extremely comfortable. Okay, XR150, kind of the same deal. Typical Honda, you know, it's reliable. The suspension's soft. It'll run the speed limit. But this one, and I would say in stock form, they just don't do anything special. However, this one has big meaty tires on it. We've done springs, and we put a big bore on this one. So it's 222 cc. We've got a pumper carburetor on it, and exhaust, and some racks, and you know, lots of goodies. And this thing's fun. It really is. It's fun. It's flickable. It's light. It's very Honda-esque in all its characteristics. We've got a bunch of skid plates and goodies on there. Fun little bike. But I would still put it in the category with the VanVan and the T-Dub as far as its capabilities. They're all three extremely capable off-road if you want to go slow. Any one of these three will go anywhere you want to point them. So they're billy goats. The T-Dub more so than the other two. I would give second place to the VanVan as far as billy goatness, and then third to the Honda, just because it, you know, doesn't have the fat tires. It's geared a little high. It would need some sprockets for off-road usage. So again, if you're commuting, I wouldn't point you in this direction. If you want to tootle around and go in the woods and in the field, and you need a farm bike, and or if it's just in a small neighborhood, you know, and you can just run a couple blocks to the store or whatever it is, they do great for that. But they just don't handle highway speeds like these other bikes. So anyway, if that helps you any, the VanVan's the most comfy. It's the slowest. The Honda, it's comfy. It's got a soft seat, and it'll be reliable. But in the 150 in stock form, it's, you know, it's a little soft, but it's capable. T-Dub, I don't think I have to explain anything about T-Dubs to any of you guys. I think it's the most versatile motorcycle out there. XT250 and KLX230, very similar bikes, and great commuters, and I really enjoy riding them because it's nice to get on something with, you know, every once in a while with fuel injection and 2 inches more travel, and you know, already has disc brakes on it, and you know, a lot of cool features. I like both of those things. If you want to build a lightweight, air-cooled woods bike, you can do it out of one of these two, because they're already really good platforms for woods bikes. They're really good trail bikes. So if you want to spend a little money on the motor and a little money on the suspension, of course tires and things like that, and exhaust, goodies, really good trail bike for carrying some speed in the woods. Would recommend. But what would I pick over all these things? My T-Dub. There's just no replacing my T-Dub. Gosh, I got to thinking about it one day. I was talking to somebody about it. I think it would take $10,000 to replace this T-Dub. because it has so much stuff done to it, and I love it. And it's my favorite, and it's what I'm going to ride. And no, his name is not Ted. You don't name your motorcycles. But anyway, if you know, comparing my T-Dub to dirt bikes, I would much rather ride my T-Dub fast in the woods because it's more comfortable. It's got more tire under it. I just like everything about it better. I'm not going to ride my T-Dub on the road and compare it to these two. If I need to ride on the road, I'm going to ride a XT250 or a KLX 230. You know, another T-Dub build that's not, it's not what mine's built for. Mine, as you can tell, is not a hunting or farm bike like this one might be. My T-Dub will chew this little dumb XR up. So yeah, I don't want to ride that one. This, again, it's slow and ugly, but it is super comfortable. And it has the lowest seat and the softest seat and the most comfortable handlebar position. And so it's comfy. That's what you're looking for. Listen to these 8 ponies.
And he's off. Poor VanVan. He insulted the VanVan. Called it ugly. I don't think it's ugly. I like it. I think it's cute. Here's my hot take, okay? You guys might not like my opinion. I'm a big fan of the VanVan, but that's because I'm short and I'm a girl. I'm a big T-Dub fan. This one in particular. Really, really love this guy.
I'm leaking. Final thoughts. Matt from Mob Street asked me a couple weeks ago, what would I buy and what would I want to ride and want to build and enjoy if the T-Dub didn't exist? And so, to be honest with you, so what we're asking is what's a second place bike to the T-Dub in my opinion? Currently, I would have to say a modified, obviously, KLX 230. This thing, I really like the XT250, but as you all know, it's not on the website for 2026, so it appears that it's discontinued. So with that in mind, taking that into consideration, if the T-Dub didn't exist, I'd probably be building KLX 230s. Pretty dang good bike with modifications. Wasn't very tickled with it stock form. However, with suspension mods and all the mods, then been very happy with it, been tickled with it. What?
Okay, so as I was just saying but didn't record it, I'm too short for these two. And I'm a girl. I don't like the seats. I think they're uncomfy. And my feet dangle off the side like I'm a toddler. So if you are 5'1" and female, I don't recommend those two. That was a cool shot.
One other thing. Since I just got off that XT250, the one thing about the XT that is so different than everything else is you are absolutely sitting down in a saddle. I mean, it feels like you're sitting down in a horse saddle. Unlike all the rest of these. You know, T-Dub, comfortable. You know, that Honda's comfortable. They're all comfortable. Unless not these dirt bikes. They're not comfortable. But that XT, comfy. Man, you're sitting down in a saddle. It's like a slump back horse. I mean, you're sitting down in it. So, anyway. Yeah, not comfy. Not comfy. Right here.
I have stolen the camera for myself. If you guys are ever sitting there thinking, I mean, not that you are, but if any of you are ever sitting there thinking, where's Victoria? I'm behind the camera, sweating to death. And I don't even get an appearance. I dress up, I wear the shirt. Yeah, I even wear shoes. Look, they have red. I dress the part. I stand there behind the camera. So if you ever wonder where I'm at, I'm here in spirit.
T-dubs are the best. Look at that meaty tire. Look at my bum. Let's see if he'll do it. Sure will. Any of them will go upstairs if you go fast enough. Like, subscribe, ask questions down in the comments, agree, disagree. Again, it's just my opinion. Everybody's got their own opinions, like belly buttons, right? So that's my opinion on all these bikes. But hopefully, in the end, we'll have parts for all these things. That's why we have them, to try to test fit parts on. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting us. And we'll see you again soon.